Let's welcome Daniel with this amazing talk.
This amazing talk. It can only go down from here. So who's in the mood for some Christmas localizations? Yeah, okay, cool. So thank you for having me. My name is Daniel. I'm going to talk about how to localize Swift packages with string catalogs. This frame rate is so much better when you don't call into a Google Meet. So imagine, 60 frames per second or something like that. It's going to be fine. So today it's going to be a 25-minute talk. So I'm actually going to start the timer right about now. So today we're going to talk about string catalogs in case you haven't used them. We are going to check how Xcode 26 improves string catalogs in a great way. Then we're going to localize the Swift package, and then we're going to create a shared translation package that other applications and packages can use. Sounds great? Yeah. Nice. So, any native app developers in here? Okay. You probably know about this string format, right? Localizable strings. This is an old love story that we've been using. Oh, this is painful. It's so jagged. Okay. String catalogs, before string catalogs, we had localizable.strings. It's a plain text file where you have keys and translations. And if you want multiple languages, you have multiple files. Very simple, very basic, and very nice. But this is now legacy according to Apple. I hope it's not deprecated, that it's just legacy. Because in 2 years ago, they introduced a new format called string catalogs. The actual name is XC strings for the file type, but we call them, oh my God, that's painful. We call them string catalogs. And basically, it's a JSON file with nice rendering. So that's basically what it is. So looks kind of the same, like you have keys, you have translations, and you have AI-generated comments from Xcode. So it's the future. With string catalogs, we have some benefits. So if we want to localize an application in multiple languages, we have one single file for that. That can be a benefit. For some cases, it can also be a detriment. We can also do plural variation directly in the string file, so we're going to look at that. And then you can also vary by device. So if you want a text to say tap here to continue, but on Mac you want it to say click here to continue. It's fully possible now, finally, in the age of AI. We can finally do that. On iOS. So some use cases for localizing is that you can localize a single application. Then it's very straightforward. You add a string catalog and everything just works. Then you can localize a Swift package. Then you can add a string catalog and things will probably not work if you don't do it the right way. And then you can also use a shared package and translate a bunch of stuff with one single package. So we are going to take a look at these two cases like this. And this is going to be a live coding exercise, so things will probably go wrong. So Daniel has a bottle over there, so if anyone wants to throw it at me, you can just ask him and he's going to hand it. Yeah, just keep it for, yeah, that's great. So let's code. I'm going to switch over to an application that you may know about called Xcode 26.1. I woke up and my other computer upgraded to 26.2 this morning. So I quickly put this in airplane mode and turned off automatic updates, and I think we're good. So what we want to do now is I was thinking about like creating an application and show how to translate an app. I think we all know how to do that, so I'm going to start with the package. So let's say that we want to have a shared translation package or just a package with UI components. Then we can just create a new package. I'm going to call it shared translations. Is this a good size? Yeah, okay. Cool, so we now have a really nice package. What we need to do is, of course, to specify which platforms we want to support. String catalog works on all major Apple platforms, so we can just type all the platforms in here, but for this demonstration, let's just do iOS 16 for now. So in this case, say that we have something called a shared view here. So we're going to import Swift UI and create struct perhaps called shared view, which implements the view protocol like this. And in this body, we want to use something localized. So what we can do, is this okay? Typo?
Sard view.
Ah, the Sard view. Yeah.
He was just testing us. You passed.
Yeah, thank you. I want a responsive audience. Great, great. So do we want the text a little bit bigger? Is this okay? It's okay. Cool. So let's say that we want to call this shared view.greeting like this, and we add a preview like this, shared view like that, and we just launch this very complicated preview which Xcode can generate for about a couple of minutes. So meanwhile, let me tell you my life story. Okay, we're good. Cool. So in order for you to see this, let's just make it a large title. Okay, so this is obviously not localized, perhaps in some language, but not in Swedish or English. So how would we localize this with the old localizable string approach? Well, in that case, perhaps we would create a new folder called resources and add a new file to it. So before, if you search for string, you will get these two files to the right, the strings files and the strings dict file. They are now marked as legacy. I do not know what that means. I hope they will stay around for a couple of years because I really need the localizable strings approach for a few years at least. But we are going to create this legacy file. And then if we go here and we add this shared view.greeting, what should it say? Hello, Cocoaheads. Seems nice, seems appropriate. If we now go back to the shared view, if you would have done this in an application, it would have worked. If you do this in a package, it will not work. Because what you need to do is go back to the package and also define a default localization. So in this case, let's say that we want English, like this. And if we now go back and restore this, it's still not going to work. So any idea why this is not going to work? You need a folder?
Yeah, and .o something.
Oh, good idea. Actually, no.
So you need to tell it where to find the localizable files, define module.
Exactly. Yeah. Also known as a folder. So SwiftUI is an amazing framework, which is implicit and declarative and all of that. But in this case, it's very expressive because you need to say, the bundle is going to be the package module. So if you do that, wow, we now have a localized package. So this is very basic, but it has a couple of very annoying things, especially if you build packages for a living, which I do. If you want to have something that is localized in a package, you need to ensure that this bundle is exposed. So the modules bundle is internal. So perhaps what you want to do is say, well, make a public extension of this, of the bundle, and then we say static var shared translations is a bundle, and we're going to resolve it to module, and then we can say dot share translations, and things still work. The problem is that this is a very brittle approach. Like if you were to create a shared localization package in this way, and you tell your customers, well, just use this key with this bundle and things will just work. Well, perhaps people will do like, oh, well, greeting 2 doesn't work, Daniel, what's wrong? Or perhaps they will just forget to define the bundle and things will break. Or in my case, if you distribute closed source SDKs, those are built with a framework project. And in that framework project, the bundle module is not going to be available, so you need to work around to resolve the bundle in some way. So this is nice, but there are better things to use in 2025. So localizable.strings, great stuff, but let's just remove it for now. And let's create a new file called a string catalog. So when you create a string catalog, of course, it's going to be empty by default. And if you remove the default localization and build, and go back, it's still, no, it's not. Demo. Well, sometimes it can be. What is great about string catalogs is if you use a key in your view, then the string catalog is going to get this key automatically. So Xcode is going to find all the uses of localizable string key and generate new keys here. So let's just try to see if this works. And also look at this. Look at this. AI in action. We have a generated description for this key. Cool. So let's say hello. So when I say hello, Cocoaheads, you say hello. Hello, Cocoaheads. Hello. Okay, nice. And we go back and things still work. That's great. So you can actually just migrate from using localizable.strings to a string catalog. It's perfectly easy and stuff like that. And then all the new keys you add are going to be automatically added to this string catalog, which is great. But we still have this problem, right? Now things break. But the big difference now is that if you use a string catalog and you compile again, this previously localized key is going to be flagged. And since this is a low resolution thing, you're going to have to scroll to the right to see the badge stale. So now Xcode is actually going to identify that this key used to be used, but now this guy decided to add .2 afterwards. I don't know why, but this is the new key now. So this is still not good, right? We can still ship broken codes, broken localizations by having just a minor typo. Perhaps you just accidentally type a space in a view and suddenly your localization is broken. What you can do with this approach is to actually, we can do this. We can open up this string catalog as source code, and you're going to see that the magic behind this string catalog is a string format, a file format called JSON. It's a very advanced thing. And if you look here, this key that previously wasn't used is now marked as stale. So if you use the old version of string catalogs, you can have your CI or some build pipeline just check if something in this file is stale, just fail the release process and ask developers to remove .2 from all keys or something. So this is good, but it's still not good enough. It's still not good enough. So what I want to do now is go back and open this as source code, no, as string catalog, sorry. And I'm going to keep this broken key. And I'm going to copy this key that I want to have. And I'm just going to mark this because since this is now stale, I can actually just remove it. If it's not stale, you cannot remove it from the string catalog. But now what we have is a completely broken localization setup. So let's fix that. What I want to do now in Xcode 26 is to use a new capability, which I just discovered by accident. So I didn't use Claude, I didn't use ChatGPT to know about this. I just found out by not using AI. Look at this. You press plus, you type this key, and you zoom in. Something has happened here. So now Xcode obviously can generate symbols for us. So if we type in this thing, we now have actually a symbol, very much like Xcode generates symbols for image assets, for fonts, etc., and colors. We can now go back to this code and say that we want to use the shared view greeting like that. I hope it works. It doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Let's go back to the file. Why doesn't it work? Yeah, exactly. They're awake, Jim. They're awake. But now I want to go further. Let's do this. Okay. Nice. And we can remove this key. I didn't have to do it. Xcode removes it for me because now I fixed this and we didn't have any reference to that key, so Xcode just removed it for us. And now let's regenerate. And it works. Nice. But what is so nice about this is that with this new way of using localizations, we don't need to specify the bundle because the localized string resource, which this is, manages that for us. So SwiftUI has localized string key, we have localized string resource, we have strings.localize something. It's a big mess, but I think I'm going to stick with localized string resource for now. It seems like a good bet. Cool. So are we done now?
Yes.
No! So if this was a UI framework SDK thing where we have UI components, this would have been perfectly fine. We could have shipped this and things would just work. If we were to use this in an application, this text field would still be localized, right? So that's great. But let's actually do that. Let's create an application. Stop task. Let's create a project. Let's create a multi-platform SwiftUI application, and let's call it test app. And let's place it here. Okay, so now we have a SwiftUI application made in Xcode 25.
25.
Oh, 26? Who cares? I cannot, unfortunately, not disclose any more information at this point. So what we want to do now is use this component that we created. There are a couple of gotchas when you start placing stuff in packages. So things may seem straightforward, and then I'm going to show you some pitfalls. So let's go to our project. Let's add a package dependency to this package that we created. So this is going to be a local package. Let's add it here, and let's import it in our content view. So import shared translations like that. So now let's create a shared view. I wonder what happened. It's not like I didn't do this 20 times before, so I know exactly what happened. It needs to be public because everything you place in a package is internal by default. So let's expose it. Let's make it public. And no, okay, this needs to be public. Okay. But now we're done. The code compiles. Everything works. We got another compile. Okay. It just doesn't find it. So I'm just going to write shared view and use the initializer, which is probably public. No, okay. We need to go back. Because this synthesized initializer is internal by default as well. Okay, stupid me. So let's do this. Now we can finally use our shared view. And it works. Nice. This is great if you want to create a UI component library. It's not great if you want to create a shared translation library where you have keys in one place and your entire organization can use the same keys from all packages and all applications they have in the organization. Because if we want to add a new text here, and we want to access this shared view greeting, did I say that things in packages are internal by default? So are the generated keys. So this brings me to a small sideway, because this key that Xcode generates is going to work great if you just localize your application. If you localize packages, it's not going to work as great, because we need to find a way to expose this key. And luckily, I have created such a way. So let's go back to the presentation. So I work with Swift packages on a daily basis, and I run into the same problems over and over again. So I created this open source library that is free for everyone to use. It has terminal scripts, it has GitHub action, workflows, and everything you need to manage open source and closed source packages. One thing that I added a little more than a week ago is a new terminal script called L10NGen. So it's basically SwiftGen. I just gave it a new name. So what this thing is going to do is that it's going to use a CLI tool that is written in Swift. It's going to parse the string catalog. It's going to build this namespace tree out of all the periods, all the dots, all the punkter in the string key. It's going to generate a namespace tree for that. And then it's just going to dump the generated code into a Swift tile. So let's see it in action. So what I've done is that I've actually cloned this project before coming here. So we have this here, and I've actually I've actually run this script before. So basically what you do when you want to run this package thing is first to sync all the scripts using a sync script. So we do that. And now we can go back to our shared translations package. Is this big enough? Nice, okay. So what we can do now is that we can run the script L10N gen, and we can define a from path, which is going to be the path to our string catalog. So sources, shared translations, resources, local, oh, okay, that's nice. And then to sources, shared translations, perhaps generated, 10n.swift, and let's run that. So basically what it will do now is build the CLI tool. It's going to parse the string catalog, and if everything works, inshallah, we are going to have a nice generated code file for us that we can inspect. Cool. So let's go back to our project. Let's close this application and let's open our package. The shared translation package now has a brand new generated file for us. So by default, the root namespace is going to be L10N. If you just have one file in your organization, you can just use that. Otherwise, you can just specify perhaps a package name as the root, and then it's just going to create this tree for us. So if we go back to the shared view now and remove this warning, I have this thing where I type option space, and then I don't know why. I can't seem to stop. I'm addicted to it. So now instead of shared view greeting, this internal key, what we have generated now is a public key around this key. So we can just do L10N shared view greeting. And this still works. Nice. What is great, oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. What we also can do now, actually, say that we have one package with shared translations in an organization where we have multiple teams working and we just want one string catalog. Something tells me that it might be a bad idea, but if you want to do it from a technical point of view, what you can do now is just add a VStack here and just add a new thing. And wait, no, we're in the shared view. That's really bad. That's exactly not what I wanted to do. So instead of this, let's just add a text here. And if we now type L10, and you can see that the key is indeed public, and it wraps the key. And now we have just a way to share localization keys in our organization or in our small indie app company, if that is what you have. So this is really good. The good thing about this is that string catalogs also have, how are we on time? 2.5 more minutes. Okay. Let's do it. Since this is string catalogs and we just wrap, we haven't added anything to the equation beside a public property. So what we can do now is to use some other things that comes with this string catalog. So for instance, if we say that this is a text that says tap here to continue, what you can do with this kind of thing is to right-click it and say verify device. And if we choose Mac, you can see that we now have a Mac variation that can say click here to continue, which is really nice. So now if we add a new architecture to this, a new platform to this package file, let's say Mac OS, I don't know, 15. Let's go. If we now preview this on iOS, it's going to say tap here to continue. We still use the new public key that we generated, and everything is just going to work if I switch over to Mac. And I hope it doesn't take too long to build because we have 1 minute and 10 seconds to go. It now says click here to continue, which is great. So if you want to customize the experience for a specific platform, perhaps if you use it on TV, it can say go to Netflix instead. I don't know. You can do that. It's perfectly doable. But what is also really nice about this is that you can add parameters to the keys. So this, the only bad thing about it is that the format is really, really painful. So I think the %LLD means it's a proper unsigned, like a default integer. So if you do that, and let's say that on iPhone you just want to say tap, but on Mac you really want to test the mouse capability of the person, so you want to say click here %1 $LLD times, no wait, click here, we're gonna get it, times, to continue. We now have a localized string that requires an input argument, in this case an integer, and you can have many. You can have integer, string, double. If we build it now, you see that we're going to get a warning now, because the underlying generated internal key requires an integer, which means that in this case it would be nice if the public wrapper also requires an integer. So we can just run this generation script again. For some reason it needs to rebuild the command line tool, which is a pain. But once it's done, oh my, let me tell you. Okay, now it's done. So what we can do now is go back to this, and we can see that the variable has been replaced with a function instead. So now we can just pass in the parameter, and in our shared view we can just say shared view greeting, and pass in, for instance, 10. And if we generate this on Mac, it's now going to say, I hope, click here times to continue. So this is a really powerful way to work with localizable strings. You don't need multiple string files. Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Wait. Conclusion. Okay. A string catalog is great because you can manage all languages, all variations and everything from one single place. Sometimes it may not be what you want, but if you want it, it's great. With Xcode 26, you have the capability of auto-generating keys, which is really nice. And with some kind of script, perhaps mine, you can generate public wrappers for the keys as well. So the future looks bright if localization is your thing. With that, I want to say thank you. And if you have any questions, now is the time. Thank you so much. Oh my God. Wait, him first.
You made the property that takes a param available for macOS, right?
Yeah.
What happens when you build that for iOS where we don't require a parameter or argument?
Well, the parameter is required by the key, and it's up to the text to use it or not. So if you don't refer to that parameter inside of the localized text, then it will just be omitted.
Okay, so it wouldn't crash. It's still going to
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Daniel.
Is there a reason you didn't do that particular script as a build plugin?
Yes, because I don't know how to do that. Yes? Oh.
A follow-up question to him then, Caesar. If you have multiple parameters then,
Yeah.
how do you separate them from different platforms?
Well, it's still the same number of parameters. So the key is the owner of the parameters, and the string just uses. So yeah, we can go back and just.
Say that you have like 2 parameters for Mac and you have 1 parameter for iOS, for CMS and S.
No, it's going to be the same. So you see here, you add the parameters. Is this okay? Yeah. You add the parameters to the key. So if you want to have a string argument next, you do that. And now what you can do is say %2 at, or something like that. wait. We're going to figure this out. Like that. So now it's going to use the first int argument and the second string argument, but all the other platforms can provide Mr. %2 at $@man.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, cool. Wait, this is not good. Questions over there?
Yeah, it's not a question, just a nitpick.
Oh my God.
Exposing the bundles, perhaps unnecessarily, right?
Yeah, with this, you don't need to worry about the bundle at all. But with that said, since I started exploring this, previously it's been really nice if you just expose the keys and perhaps just create references to the keys themselves. That makes it possible for people using your SDK, for instance, to create more languages. Like they can add support for more languages in their bundle. So let's say that if I currently run the application in Turkish, then we're going to use our own custom translations for this. I don't really know how you do that with localized string resource yet. And I don't know if it's possible, but perhaps it's possible. I don't know.
My point was that it's not needed. Perhaps it's worth removing it from exposing because it's not necessarily.
Oh, yeah. If I kept it in code, if I did keep it in code, we can just remove it like that. Yeah. But it still doesn't solve the problem of localizing it in more languages than the SDK does. Question over there.
Great talk.
Thank you.
One comment and one question. You said that you just noticed it by yourself by clicking that last icon that you can generate keys. There's
Yeah.
actually a dumped up 25 talk
Mhm.
about localization that explains this.
Yeah.
So that's a great talk. I think everyone should watch
I should watch it someday.
Yeah. So because of that talk, I actually started using this
Mhm.
for my side projects, and the question is like, doesn't it seem like an oversight from Apple that you actually have to do this extra step to create your public variables to expose the localizations? Because I had the same problem. What I didn't create a script for it, but I just manually exposed every single one of them. But
Yeah.
it's the same thing. It seems like an oversight from there. I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully it's something they are going to add. What I would like to see in a package thing is some kind of package configuration where you can specify resources for a package target, and then you can say process it. Then it would be nice to have like a resource exposure or something like that, or the access scope of the generated resources, and just say that it's going to be public. That would be great.
How many agents did you use to write the script?
Oh my God, I maxed out. I don't even do Swift development. Oh, there.
Are you using any kind of third-party service like Phrase Localize?
Yeah, you can do that. So if you use with localizable.strings, you can just upload that to localizable. If you want to do that with a string catalog, perhaps there is now a native way, for instance, for localize.com, like online services to directly parse that. What you can do otherwise, I can just show it to you so you know that I'm not talking baloney. Like if you're in a package that has a string resource, you can go to product and you can choose export localizations. And what that is going to do, then you can choose which localizations you want to export, and that's going to be exported as an xlif, don't ask me, file. And that is something that is natively supported. That you can just upload a single file to localize.com and have people downloading it. And then when you download it, you can just go to product and do import. And what is so great about a string catalog is that it is just a JSON file with a different file format. So if you want to use AI to do stuff locally, you can just ask it like localize this string. Like if we were to go here and add Swedish, for instance, or why not Hebrew? Why not? You localize the Hebrew way too seldom, I think. So now you can go here and you see that in English we have something. In Hebrew, I have no idea, but I guess there is an AI agent out there that can solve this problem for us. And it would just have to know JSON, which I think is a pretty basic thing for an AI agent to do.
Only as of 2025.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Guys, so let's do one last
Okay.
question and then we'll have a break.
Yes?
Right. So has this new file format been embraced by these different services that actually produce multiple sets of localizations? If you're working in a larger organization and you have like dedicated translators that are working with a sort of middleman
Yeah.
service to use this?
Yeah, like Localize, for instance, that's a third-party translation service. Now, I guess that if that's your USP, that we translate stuff for you, then I guess that it's a competitive advantage to also handle this file format.
I happen to know that Phrase lets you download it from their website, like as string catalogs. You can specify the format.
Oh, that's great.
In the sort of YAML configuration file.
34 minutes. It's time for me to get off the stage. Thank you so much.